What if the reason you haven't found the person that you desire is because you are actually not acting, not becoming, not embodying the version of you that attracts that person? Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katerina. I felt very called to speak today about embodiment, about acknowledging the true, real reasons why you might not have the life that you desire, why you might not have the love that you desire. And it's not about you needing to create more plans or to go out more. It's actually something deeper. You haven't really acknowledged the wounds yet around you desiring something, but you actually not putting the effort in. This might be the reason why you are in your 30s or 40s or 50s and have never been married or have never achieved success in a certain way. Now, if you are a Capricorn rising like me, Saturn ruled, or Aquarius rising, but normally Aquarius risings tend to be more within the outsider avenue than it is like the life that you've built. If you have Saturn in the 7th, and to be honest, even Saturn in the 8th, even Saturn in the 5th, to be fair, you may have this like complete block when it comes to love and romance and relying on someone, on vulnerability, on knowing yourself so truly that you are not willing to entertain anyone who doesn't align with that. Saturn in the 7th and Capricorn rising do tend to marry a bit later in life. I would say with the Capricorn risings that I've worked with and that I know personally, that is true. I've seen people who have had late love or a lot of relationships that they've stayed in maybe that are not, that don't last. If you want to know more about your Saturn placement, regardless of whether you're Capricorn rising, but if you do have Saturn in those houses that I mentioned, I have a workbook down below that will really genuinely give you the complete answer and lesson through lived experiences of what Saturn in that house is trying to teach you. I help you as a Capricorn rising, understanding Saturn on your life path. I have tried to the best of my ability to use Hellenistic astrology, use mythology, and use evolutionary astrology to kind of understand Saturn to its core, the bare bones of Saturn, and what Saturn is asking of you. If that's something that sounds interesting, then the link for that workbook is below. And also, just to say, it is raining so badly, so if you hear the rain, that's why I'm holding the mic, trying to make sure that the mic doesn't pick up the rain. I love the sound of the rain, but it is very heavy. I spoke about embodiment before. It was during my money root wound kind of series that I created. I've got a playlist for that on my YouTube, so it's on that. But I spoke about embodiment when it comes to abundance. I spoke about you cannot wait to learn financial literacy when you have the money. You have to learn financial literacy before the money comes. That's embodiment. You have to learn how to invest your money before the money for investing comes. That's embodiment. You have to do your financial tracker as if you have the money that you desire. That's embodiment. You also have to do it for your finances now. You know, someone who says to themselves, oh, I'll wait until I earn more money to start looking at my finances and figuring out like how I can save a bit more. That's waiting. That's the waiting zone. That is the liminal space. You have to act as if you have that money right now, and the money will come. But if you keep waiting, the money won't come. Is anyone else a black coffee drinker? I actually said this randomly to someone the other day, but someone once told me that they think women who drink black coffee are sent from the devil. I was like, what just came out of your mouth? Every Italian most likely probably drinks black coffee at least once in the day. So that was funny. Anyway, I feel like there's a lack or there's a missing clue when people talk about not finding love. And I'm not speaking about this from someone who hasn't had that experience. I was in an 8-year relationship with someone, and that relationship ended from their part, and that destroyed me. But actually, I was betrayed like really heavily with that relationship, and it didn't come to light until afterwards. So really the universe was doing me a huge favor. I had absolutely no confidence and like was living with a very manipulative person. I then exited that and went on lots of dates and just wanted to have fun, but also avoid a lot of deeper questions. And now at 36 years old, I am single, and I am in this time of like, okay, what do I want? Do I actually want to find love? And if I do, what are the qualities that I want in that person? And me now, the person I am now, is that person the one who will actually attract that idea of what I want? If you are someone who wants to attract someone who is athletic, and you just want to attract someone who wants to go to the gym and looks after themselves and is that, is naturally active. Maybe they go on runs, maybe they do rock climbing, maybe they bike, maybe they do the gym. If you're not doing any of that, you're not going to attract that type of person. That person, your soulmate, whoever, is basically waiting for you to align with what they align with already. Just the same as if you were someone who was naturally active, you wouldn't attract someone who wasn't. You would attract someone who is. So the real question to yourself is, are you embodying the qualities that you want in your partner already? And, we live in a world that centralizes romance. I'm not talking about this if you genuinely don't want to meet someone. But if you are actively wanting to find your partner, if you really are genuinely wanting someone to spend your life with, what are the qualities that you want in that person? You have to get really, really down to the like nitty gritty of what you want. And then you have to ask yourself, am I doing that now? Am I learning the language? Am I embracing or learning about other cultures? Am I naturally active in my life? Do I go to the theatre already? Am I someone who travels by themselves? If you are in a zone of like waiting for someone in order to do certain things in your life, you'll always be waiting. It's the same as like if you're waiting to meet a partner to go on holiday, you will genuinely be sitting here waiting for a long time because you're not doing them yourself. What if the partner that you meet, that you desire, is actually in a different country? What if they are on holiday just like you would be if you had elevated to that next version of yourself? And obviously, I'm not talking about someone who cannot afford to go on holiday, but if you are sitting there like, oh, I wish I had someone to go on holiday with because that's what I desire, I want to travel with my partner, you have to travel with yourself first. You have to do the things that you want to do, whether that's like, if you imagine Sunday mornings walking into Borough Market or whatever, and you're walking down the street and you're getting coffee, you're getting croissant, like you're living that kind of Sunday morning going to the farmer's market type energy, and you're like, you want to meet someone, and that's what you want your Sunday mornings to look like. If you are not doing those Sunday mornings already, you will not meet your partner, because you're not embodying the version of yourself that is meeting that type of person. And I'm going to, like, I've been there, I'm still there, but really don't want to date at this moment in time. But I'm not going to meet my partner sitting at home by myself. I'm going to meet him when I'm actually doing things that I really enjoy and I want my partner to enjoy with me. I might meet someone if I go to a pottery class, but I'm not going to that pottery class, you know? I feel like I'm just like repeating the same circle and cycle, but it's just something that we often think of when it comes to like that rebrand energy. We think about it in a way when it comes to material things in our life, when it comes to money, building a career, building your body, whatever. But I think sometimes we think, oh, we'll live life and like the man will come. But if you are really specific on what you want, and I'm not talking about picky, I'm talking about, that you want a partner who is open to other cultures. You want a partner that reads in their spare time. You want a partner that will sit and like be so open to what you believe in spiritually. If you're not exploring those things for yourself, you won't attract that type of partner. You can put this into anything. Embodiment can go into any category in your life. If you're waiting to like meet people in order to, I don't know, do things that are fun and creative, if you're waiting for someone to come into your life to start doing creative things, you're just going to be waiting. The creative things come with action. You painting at home, you learning how to knit, you going to a paint party, you going to an art gallery, whatever it is, like that is how you embody, and that's how more opportunities come to you. We don't have opportunities come to us if we don't act, if we don't embody the version of ourselves that attracts those things. When I think about what happens in astrology, a lot of the times, honestly, it is fated things, especially during eclipse season, which we are basically in now. But sometimes there are opportunities, there are windows, like, there's a love window. And if you don't go out on that window that you have, which you can go to an astrologer to talk about, or like for you personally, or you can watch astrologers online and say like the kind of collective window that might be open at that time, you'll be like, of course you wouldn't meet someone, so that window wouldn't come true. We have autonomy over how we move through this world. And of course, for 2 years of my life, nothing happened. No opportunities came to me because I was waiting. I was waiting. I was scared to move forward. I was scared to do something different. And no opportunities came to me. When I went to Japan in 2019, I met someone who genuinely changed my life path. And I really deeply believe that. But if I didn't go to Japan, I wouldn't have met him. And I wouldn't have had that like awakening moment of like, what the hell am I doing? you have autonomy over the windows in life that you have, whether astrologically or just energetically you feel like your intuition is saying, like, let's go out today. When you say no, you're saying no to opportunities, and therefore you're saying no to embodying that version of yourself, and therefore you're saying no to potentially the love of your life coming into your life. We meet people for a complete reason and purpose. But if you're not actually putting yourself out there, and again, I'm not talking about dating apps. I'm going to talk, dating apps are great for some people, but I'm talking about actually going out and sitting in a coffee shop. I'm talking about going out and walking through a gallery, going to market, whatever it is. I'm talking about actively doing the things that you envision yourself to be doing. That is when you'll meet the right person for you. If you were going out and just going to a club or going to a bar or again talking to people on Hinge, yeah, you might meet people, but are they the person that you want? Do they have the qualities that you want in a person? Or is it just another lesson? Is it just another test? I have always thought this, like, I want someone to grow with. And I think at my age now, there are certain things that I don't want to have to teach. I want them to be at the same level as me. You know, when it comes to things that are really important to me culturally, I don't want to have to teach them to be open to other cultures. I want that to be like naturally they are. You know, I want them to be naturally emotionally intelligent. I don't want to have to teach them. When you're in your 20s, maybe you'll grow together and really push each other to communicate. But I think when you're a bit older, you really, really do pick intentionally, which is why if you have Saturn in the 7th or a Capricorn rising, you genuinely do grow through that wisdom of relationships, grow through that time to become extremely intentional with the person that you choose. I have never been married. I've been in relationships, but I've never been married. And I used to think, like, not anything bad. I always knew that my partner would come at a time. Like, I never ever doubt love. I don't know why. I just never have done that. But I also have really known that I probably would marry late. And it's so funny because a couple of other Capricorn risings I know have the same, and they have just married recently. And we're all like around the same age. So it's like they always knew that they would. And you're more intentional when you take your time to get to know someone. But the reason you're more intentional is because you know what you want, and you're not going to entertain someone who doesn't have those values that you have. It doesn't really matter how much they earn or what they look like. What matters is like you have the same values and that you can grow with them. You know, yes, you're not going to choose someone intentionally that doesn't have drive, but it also depends if you have drive. It also depends if you want that. If you want to go live off the grid somewhere, then you're not going to look for someone who lives the opposite life. You're going to look for someone who also wants to live off the grid. You choose someone intentionally when you know what you want and you know that you don't want to waste your time. So sit there, write all the qualities that you would really love in a potential partner. Get really deep. Like, what do you see your conversations being about? How do you want them to make you feel when you're sad, when you're happy, when you're going through something? Get really clear and intentional on what those qualities are, and then be really honest with yourself and ask yourself, are you embodying the version of yourself that would attract that type of partner? Are you emotionally intelligent? Have you let your wall down? Are you setting boundaries with yourself? Because if you want someone to respect your boundaries, but you're not respecting your own boundaries, you'll constantly keep attracting people who don't respect your boundaries. So you really need to get clear on what that type of person is and whether or not you are actually embodying the qualities that would attract that type of person. Thank you so much for watching. And if you are interested in understanding your Saturn placement path and the lessons that Saturn is trying to teach you, then my workbook is below. And until then, I will see you in the next video.